host, Doreen Steenland, and today I'd like to welcome our guest, Cheri Augustine Flake. Let's talk stress. I mean, you are the stress therapist.
It's my favorite thing.
so, so let's just dive in about where you think people in healthcare might struggle the most, where they assume that they can't do anything about the stress that they're experiencing.
Well, I'm from up north. I live in the South in Atlanta, but I do not come across as a Southerner in any way. And one of the things that I noticed when I came down here was, Southerners are very kind. They are very kind, and it is overt. You will notice it as soon as you come and visit this part of the country. And I think this happens all over the country, but especially down here, it really became very clear to me of this, what I call Southern hospitality syndrome, where everybody else is more important than me. Okay.
Wow.
And that is not true. That's not true. And I think with medical professionals in particular, they are recommending healthful practices, and they might not be walking the walk. And it's not because they're not true to that. It's not because they don't believe it. It's because they're overworked and overwhelmed. And maybe they haven't had anybody kind of, show them how to do it, right? Like, in order to teach it, you really got to be doing it, And so I think they kind of put themselves on the back burner a little bit. And there's nothing special about medical professionals. They deserve love and attention and peace and calm and a lovely life just as much as everyone else. But I think sometimes they might not believe that, or, have it in their practice day to day.
Wow, such a great observation, because as healthcare providers, our goal is to help the people in front of us. And we often forget to start with ourselves, because
I know, I hate it. It's so sad. And these are the people that I love the most. They're so easy to love because they're lost in the giving, and you can only give what you got, and then you're a little empty and there's nothing left to give.
Wow. Yeah. So we can't give from an empty cup.
Yeah.
And so, what do you think keeps them stuck in this pattern?
Well, let's talk about the hours. I mean, when I was working in the emergency room, I was working in psych, and the hours are long. And I mean, I was working in the emergency room, so it is a stressful job.
Yes.
I always found it entertaining when I would watch like shows on TV that had medical professionals on it, like soap operas and like whatever, and they'd be interviewing them, and they were always walking and talking and doing and stuff. And I'm like, there's a lot of truth to that. I don't have time to stop and even talk to the cops, maybe, what I mean?
Yes.
They're always working and working and working, and then trying to catch up. And I think the resisting of what is, and being in the moment they're in, that is not really valued, and we need to rethink stress, right? Like, I think we're trying to manage stress, which to me doesn't really make much sense. We're trying to get rid of stress, which is a horrible idea, because people who report really low stress report really low happiness, right? And I think we need to, in the wise words of Kelly McGonigal, who's, out of Stanford University, she says, we got to get better at stress. And I love this, okay? Because this makes stress accessible to us, and that we're able to like deal with it, right? It has more of the, I mean, forgive me for bringing up dogma, but like a Buddha look at things, right? Like, everything is suffering. Okay. That's the drag, right?
Yeah.
All these things you want, all this desire that you want in order, to have this job and help these people and do this work, is even those types of desires are contributing to it, and that there's a way out, and that you have to be in the very moment that you're in. All we have is right now. Everything we think about it comes from the past. I mean, I heard this comic yesterday who said something like, somebody showed me a picture of themselves and said, this is a picture from when I was younger. And he said, all pictures are from when you were younger. Right? We're not really thinking like that. We think we know what's coming. I mean, if the pandemic taught us anything, it's that we don't, right? And that if we actually sit in the very moment that we're in, nothing happened in the past, Doreen. It all happened now. Nothing's going to happen in the future. It's going to happen now.
Wow.
And I think bringing yourself back to that present moment, even in a couple of seconds, will make a dramatic effect on your day and getting better at stress.
I love several things that you said. The first thing I want to highlight is that we can't really get rid of stress. We need a certain amount of stress in
Sure.
order to stay engaged and to do our best and to be pushed, right? So there needs to be a little bit of a balance. And what I also love about what you said is getting into the present moment. And so many of us are living either in the past or the future that
That's
we can't
depression,
even,
anxiety.
yeah, we can't even be present with our family members. And
Yeah.
and that breaks my heart.
So how are we supposed to do it at work? Like, how are we supposed to do it all the time
Yeah.
when we can't even do it for ourselves? It's all in the way that we're thinking about things. Like, we need to pay very close attention to our thoughts, right? So we have willful thoughts. If I tell you to think of a canary, you can make a canary come to your head. If I tell you to say hello to yourself, you can be like, hello, hello, hello inside of your head. But we also have automatic thoughts, and we need to work on those, right? Because
Yeah.
we think our automatic thoughts are so important, but the only reason they're important is because we have them over and over again.
Yeah.
And if we're having 60,000 thoughts a day and 50,000 of those are the same that we had the last week or whatever, it's time to not have less thoughts, but maybe more creative thoughts, maybe a little space between thoughts. And then we're able, when we meditate, which is my big shtick, as you said in that bio, we can see it from far. We can see our thoughts from a far away. We don't own them. They're not ours. They're not always true. They're not always so important. They're not always the reason why I'm stuck. And beliefs are a decision. You got to make a decision. You got to be like, I'm done. I'm done doing this. I'm done being stressed out. I'm done whatever. I'm gonna do. So many people will say to me, Doreen, I'll do anything to sleep. I'll do anything to not have a panic attack again. I'll do anything to this and that. And I'm like, guess what? The answer is to do nothing. You
Wow.
don't have to do anything.
What I love what you're saying because um, we all want to do things, and those thoughts that we're having about what we want to do are really just habitual patterns in our brain, and not everything we think is true.
Oh
They're
my gosh, barely
sentences,
anything is,
right? They're just
especially the mean
sentences.
voice, right? The mean voice.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm standing in front of my daughter's room and it's a disaster, right? I mean, and I'm like, oh, I'm a horrible mother. I'm like, this isn't even my room. I mean, I'm having to like constantly bad. I'm like, how can this be my fault? We have to start questioning our thoughts and do the work and realize that this is just a thought I had because when I was little, someone might have told me my room was messy. That made me a bad kid or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's coming from somewhere else. And when you allow those in and you're not constantly pushing them down or forgetting them, they dissipate a little bit better. They dissipate a little bit better. And nothing helps better than having a practice of silence. All of my clients have to have a practice of silence. It is absolutely crucial. There is nothing that helps your health better. And medical professionals know this. This is why we have placebos. They invented it. They know that mind over matter works, or we wouldn't have to have placebos in clinical trials,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And Prozac just made it, by the way. You know what I'm saying? So we know that that matters, right? So we need to use that in our healthful living. We need to understand that our thoughts are destroying us. Kelly McGonigal reports on this study. I think it was University of Wisconsin-Madison, where people were asked if they thought stress affect their health in a negative way and how much stress they had in the past year. And the people who said that stress affected their health in a negative way and also had a lot of stress in the past year were more likely to be dead 8 years later. But just hang with me for a second, because the people who thought, oh, pardon me, can you believe it? My dog's barking. I'm sorry if you can hear
That's okay. We can't hear
that. Okay.
it.
Just a reminder that life happens. This is what's happening now.
Yes.
But people who reported that they'd had a lot of stress in the past year, but did not believe that stress affect their health in a negative way, were the least likely to be dead 8 years later. This means that we are killing ourselves with just thinking that stress affects our health in a negative way. We need to stop thinking that. Our thoughts are making it the 15th leading cause of death in this country. The way that we're thinking about stress. What if stress makes you better? What if stress makes you stronger? What if stress makes you happier, which we know? And that when you're able to get better at it and you practice, you have this little teensy practice, a meditation practice, the littlest bit each day, you are blessed with not having to do anything. Your brain has changes in it that handle stress for you in a different way. My clients aren't like, oh, I'm actively working, I'm not yelling at my kids. They're like, I've been meditating for a month and I just haven't yelled at them, I guess.
Wow.
You know, like the work is there. You just put the little, it's kind of like my sister has asthma, right? So she takes asthma medicine each day to prevent an asthma attack. She might still have one, but it's not going to be as bad.
Right.
You know, and if we do the littlest amount of work, and it's a decision, you have to show up.
Yeah.
And when I talk to some people and they're like, I'll never meditate, I'm like, you're right, you won't.
Yeah.
But if it's
So
going
you
to
keep saying
help your,
that to yourself, right?
right, it's been clinically proven, help with your learning, with your memory, with attention, with your prefrontal lobe and decision making and executive functioning and creativity and mood disorders and depression and anxiety and panic attacks, certainly with our ability to pay attention with all of these distractions. You know, it even helps with inflammatory diseases, it helps with gene functioning, it helps with pain. My husband was in a really painful situation. We used meditation the whole time. It worked better than morphine. It's been proven to work better than morphine, 40% better than morphine.
Wow.
I mean, you can't ignore the health benefits. And so the medical professionals need to pay attention to it because they deserve these benefits too, not just their clients, not
Yes.
just their patients.
Yes. So you said a few
Sorry,
very
I get so excited
no,
because so
you said a few
excited.
really important things that I want to highlight. You said that we need to create silence. And what I find is that medical professionals, when they have space, they will go to their phone to check their emails or do something, and they look at that as downtime.
Right.
And so, what's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that is, well, first of all, it depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at Wordle, it's probably a little good for your brain.
Okay.
Right. But if you're looking at, you know, if you're scrolling or things like that, remember that's someone else's agenda.
Yes.
And so when you check your phone, you need to check yourself. Whose agenda am I about to engage in? And if it's fine, if you want it to be, you know, a YouTube dancer, whatever, and you want to get engaged with that, that's fine. But just being aware of what it is and allowing yourself not to find silence or even create silence, but allow silence to bubble up. It's already there. You just have to get quiet.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe you don't do it. Maybe you do 16 seconds to bliss, you know, which is, you know, breathing in your nose, hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, breathing out of your mouth, hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, in 16 seconds. Yeah. Between patients or whatever, or between, you know, procedures or whatever, you could do that. But I'm talking about getting up every morning. And I mean, rise, P, meditate. RPM. That's you. That's what you do. It's called habit stacking, right? You rise, I rise, pee, brush my chomps, meditate, but like making sure that it is something that is regular, that's normal, and you sit quietly. And, you know, people have misconceptions about meditation. It's not clearing your thoughts. If you can do that, call me, tell me how you did it. Okay. I'll know. But the idea is what fires together wires together. This is why monks are chill. They're spending a lot of time meditating, and a state, you know, becomes a trait if you spend some time in that. And so you're just calmer. Those little threads in your prefrontal cortex get thicker and stronger. And that's the part of your upstairs brain, what I call it. I know medical professionals will love this. This is, you know, soothes your downstairs brain, right? Your automatic and all of that. And so I think it's finding that practice each day, and it doesn't need to be for 20 minutes or 30 minutes twice a day. Surely that's a goal, but you could just sit for 5 minutes each morning. And if you can find 5 minutes to watch, you know, a groundhog, you know, eating a carrot on Instagram, then you can certainly spend 5 minutes on your brain health, because the health benefits, we cannot ignore them anymore. We've stopped, well, we haven't stopped, but we're not studying nuns and monks as we are studying regular, all of us meditating and the benefits and watching our brains change over after like 3 or 4 weeks. And the thing is yes, all these things that they could help you with. I mean, even epilepsy, it's all of it, all of Alzheimer's disease, a decreased need for sleep. You enjoy listening to music more if you meditate. I mean, my goodness, there's so many different benefits. But my favorite benefits of meditations are the ones I could never have guessed. My clients come to me, they're like, I want to be outside more. I love chickens. I'm gonna, have a chicken coop or whatever. For me, I mean, I never really saw a sunset until I meditated regularly. I didn't even notice it. I
Yeah.
mean, that's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So what benefit lies there for you is for you to find out. And so it's kind of fun to go on a retreat. You can jumpstart your practice, but the best thing about meditation is it's free. You
Yeah.
don't need anything to do it. I just went on a ski trip. It was not free. Okay. I needed a lot of things to do. It was a huge pain in the butt just to get the kids and everybody all like, suited up and ready to go. Right.
Yeah.
This is free. You can do it anyway. Now you could spend some bucks and get an app, or, you can jump on Insight Timer. You could do guided meditation. You could listen to my podcast. I meditate every time on there. They're real short. But we have to start making meditation accessible to everyone and not this intimidating thing,
Yeah.
That's
So,
really my goal, is to make it accessible and comfortable for people.
Yeah. I love what you're saying. And I'm thinking of the person who is almost afraid of silence.
I get it.
Tell me about that. What have you noticed about that?
Well, when we sit in silence, it is the only behavior when we're trying to create a healthy habit. I think meditation is the hardest because we can use our ego to get us to run. We can be like, I'm going to be hot. I'm going to fit in these jeans. I'm going to be friends with all my neighbors. I'm going to get a dog, whatever. Like, we can use our ego to pump us up. We can get new shoes, whatever. When we sit in meditation, we are trying to get our ego to be quiet. And so at first it is quite noisy.
Yes.
Okay. And it has very specific ways. It's been your ego's been sitting next to you your whole life. It knows just what to say to get you to stop doing something or get you to do something. And, it's usually based on time. This is too long. I don't have time for this and all this time, because your brain knows you value time. Your body, I'm uncomfortable. I can't do this. My leg hurts. I can't, whatever. I'm uncomfortable. Or environment, like, I should be making the lunches. I should clean this fan, like, there's other things we should be doing. Right. And so if you kind of recognize that those are the three ways our ego tries to pull us out right away, you can say, I mean, for 2 years, Doreen, my mantra was, this is all I'm supposed to be doing. This is all I'm supposed to be doing. This is all I'm supposed to be doing, because I could not sit there, because once your thoughts start racing, and what you want to do is just watch it as if someone else is doing the thinking. Just watch them. Don't latch on to any, and remember, meditation is, I was telling you, it's a misconception that you're clearing your head. All you're doing is going to focus on one thing, not nothing, just one thing, your breath.
Yes.
Your breath coming through your heart center. Okay. This mantra, this sound of the clock ticking, whatever. And when you start to space out, you just come right back to it. And when you space out, you come right back to it. You might sit there and think about laundry for 10 minutes. I don't know. It's fine. That's the practice.
So I love what you're saying, because if you are focusing on a goal, like, I want to be a better mother, right? Or whatever your goal is. I'm just making this up as we go along. But that could be your focus. If you are a Christian and you want to focus on a Bible verse, right? That could be your focus. It doesn't need to be necessarily a mantra. It could be something,
or whatever a mantra means to you.
Yeah, exactly.
A mantra is just the train. Like, if you're going to sit at the train station and watch the trains go by, like thoughts, your mantra is the train that you ride into the station. So you can figure out whatever that means for you. Now,
yes,
I mean, I wouldn't get too into it. What's nice about it, what the main message is it's one thing. You could say, Our Father who art in heaven. You could say, I pledge allegiance to the flag. You could say, all is well. That's Louise Hay's famous mantra. All is well, all is well, all is well. It's a lovely one. It's very, generic, and it kind of encompasses everything. Safe and sound is a really good one. And some people just use Om. That's supposed to be the sound that the universe is making. It could be very grounding, right? but it's one thing. You could use breath meditation. It's this one anchor. And so I think people think they have to sit there and clear their thoughts. They do not. They think
Yes.
on one thing. They concentrate on one thing. Use the C word instead of the M word if you want to. You can just concentrate on one thing. And the next thing you know, you keep coming back and you keep coming back and you keep coming back and you keep coming back. And just like a little puppy, finally that little puppy sits. And then they jump all around, right?
Yeah.
And then you sit, and then they jump all around. And then after a while, you train your puppy. And then those parts of your brain begin to change. And then when stress happens when you're not meditating, that state that you've been working on every morning becomes a trait in your everyday living, in your work, in your parenting, in your whatever. And
Yeah.
it's so life-changing and so lovely, and it's not really a part of our Western culture. That, I mean, like, I was at a conference and it was, it was a business conference, but they had this room where you could go meditate in it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I go over there and there's like veils and pillows and people laying all about, and they weren't dressed like the other people at the conference, and there was incense burn. It was very intimidating, and I have spent a lot of time in intimidating meditation circumstances, believe me. And I was like, I don't know if I want to go in there. And I'm meditating on the reg. Like, why are we making meditation
Yeah.
intimidating or scary or filled with dogma? It could, like you say, it can mean whatever it means to you. If Jesus is your guide, awesome. Allah, Buddha, Susie, Patsy, whatever you call it. If you bring it to your practice, you'll be more likely to do it.
So good. So what I'm noticing from you is a non-judgmental approach to meditation, right? Because when we judge ourselves for the squirrel or the thought
Right.
or not staying centered, it kind of defeats the purpose. Am I
Right. You know what's so cool about that, Doreen,
right?
is that if you're really bad at it, okay,
Yeah.
so let's say you're like,
Yeah.
um, I forgot to put the laundry in the dryer. Oh, did I do a good job brushing my teeth? Like, if you, the more the practitioner who does that the most gets the most benefit. So if you're bad at this, you're the one who benefits the most.
Okay.
Okay. Because every single time you come back around, that's when those threads get strengthened in your prefrontal cortex. Every single time. That is the practice. So people who are doing that less and have done it for a long time, the benefits come slower, right? They stay. But like someone who's new to this, the benefits come quicker. That's why only after like 3 weeks, people are like, oh my gosh, my whole life has changed.
Yeah. So
So
good.
it's and so yes, and you mentioned like people being afraid of silence. I get that. Like it can produce some anxiety, but the idea is you stick to it. You do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people will say to me, I will do anything for this. I will do anything to get better. I will do anything to have this problem solved or that problem solved, except pretty much this. And I'm like, this is your way out. This is, I mean, and honestly, do it for a month or two and then call me and tell me your life's not changed. I haven't gotten one call yet.
Good. Okay. Here's what I want to do, if you don't mind. Would
You want to meditate with me?
just for a a few seconds, right?
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
let's do it. Why don't we do it?
Okay,
Because
let's do it. Okay, I'll guide you in. Okay. Okay, so close your beautiful eyes. Allow your head to settle. Allow your neck to settle. Allow your shoulders to settle. And you don't have to do anything. Just kind of watch everything kind of settle in. Allow your arms and hands and legs and feet to settle and find a comfortable sitting space. And just notice if you're holding on to anything and allow it to go. This is all you're supposed to be doing. There's nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to do. Just allow yourself to have this moment right now inside of your body. And now bring your attention to your heart center. And just notice how your breath passes through. You don't have to change your breath. It's not supposed to be deep or shallow or good or bad or long or short. As if someone else is breathing You're just watching it. You are a witness to this breath. Because you aren't really breathing, you're being breathed. You've been breathing all morning and probably haven't thought about it at all. It's going great. So just watch it. And just notice if you have judgment thoughts. And just keep coming back to your heart center. Watching breath pass through from breastplate to spine, shoulder to shoulder. And when you space out, you come right back to the breath. And now take a long, slow, deep breath in your nose. Let it go out of your mouth. And have a moment of gratitude, just that you took this one moment to take care of your beautiful body. One more breath in your nose and out of your mouth. And one more cleansing and awakening and beautiful breath in your nose and out of your mouth. And when you're ready, you can open your lovely eyes.
Well, that was not intimidating. Hey, do this. We could do this, guys.
You can do it. We're
We can
making
do it.
meditation accessible.
Yes. Well, what's one last tip that you have for this group of lovely people before we break away?
Well, motivation comes after action, as we know. So you might feel a little motivated because you just meditated a little bit, right? But just make a decision to show up. Make a plan, get an accountability partner. Just be like, tomorrow morning when I wake up, don't do meditation, leave your bed. Right? But just decide, you know what? I'm just going to do this for 3 minutes. I'm going to set an alarm that's not alarming. And I'm just going to do this for 3 minutes and make a commitment, make a decision, decide that you are going to take this little teensy step to do nothing in order to change your life for good.
Wow. Thank you so much, Cheri.